Hello and welcome to Affirming Transgender Rights, brought to you by Renata, Mary, and Bergen. During this six-part show, we are going to be discussing transgenderism, transgender people, and transgender issues. At the end, we, as the organizers of New York Citizens for Transgender Rights, is located in Del Mar, and please note the email, are going to be asking a favor of you to get in touch with your legislators to help stop discrimination against transgender people. John F. Kennedy has a three-part quote that provides a framework for starting this presentation, and it really helps with understanding the problems of understanding transgender. The first quote, a part of the quote is, "The great enemy of truth is myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic." So what are some persistent transgender myths? Many thinkers, or at least people, would love to point out to a singing, shimmying, scantily dressed, heavily made up drag queen slinking across the stage and say, "That is a transgender." But they're wrong. In fact, did you know that a majority of gender performance is done by non-trans people? Just because it's a performance, it's not about real people. Drag queens and kings do drag for theatrical comedy and sometimes political purposes, but they do it all with you, the viewer, in mind. Transgender people come from all political and religious backgrounds. Many trans people just want to lead their lives as part of mainstream society and be accepted and not condemned by their families, churches, governments, and communities. They should be allowed to do this. This is probably the most hurtful myth for me. It tells us that transgender people are somehow less human because of their gender identification. It's proof that they do not have a place in proper society. It's hateful and it's unacceptable. Everybody should have the right to be men and women regardless of sex category or any gender classification. Let's return to John. And what is the second part of this quotation? That concerns problems for understanding transgender. "We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations." I would argue if we could substitute facts for myths, because it makes it easier to understand. A Farley Dickinson University Public Mind poll found that 56% of Democrats and 75% of Republicans say they believe in some sort of political conspiracy theory. But there's one common conspiracy theory that was not included in this. Trans women want equality just so they can sneak into women's bathrooms. This has got to be a guy's myth. But it is the most frequent challenge concerning withholding transgender acceptance. But hey, standing in line, waiting to find a stall and pee is no way to sneak in any place, but that's all too often what has to be done. It is really a non-starter conspiracy theory. Let's return to John Kennedy for a moment and see what the second part of the quote has to do with understanding transgender. "We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought." We are challenged to depart out of our comfort zone to the discomfort of thought if we really want to understand transgender issues. Let's take a look at some of these thoughtless opinions about transgender people. I have a couple that are really my all-time favorites, and of course we're going to be talking a lot about gender and sexuality being the same thing. All trans people are male to female. Female to male trans people don't exist. I know about at least 10 in this category. At least that's what they think. And this one really gets me because if trans men don't exist, then how could they say that they weren't successful as females? What the point here is, they miss that gender, they weren't successful in playing the role of their birth sex, and that was causing them problems.